Oh my God, I'm gonna cry thinking about it. This is how life gets to feel when you let go and you surrender and you stop forcing and you stop living your life how you're told to live and you allow yourself to just listen to your intuition, even if it's unconventional and it doesn't make sense to anyone around you. Because now I'm swimming in a pool in Costa Rica, living my best life, finding a way to make income as I travel. And I just knew that 2 years ago, me, never in a million years would have even been able to conjure up that thought, that belief that I could be there. So, as the title suggests, I did what I think a lot of us want to do in our 30s, but understandably so, are too afraid to do so. Whether it's fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of leaving your comfort zone. I think many of us have many reasons for wanting to start over, and I know because I was there. So if you can relate to this, I see you, my friend. So in this video, I'm going to talk about why I started over at 30, how I did it, why I chose to step out of the confines of my so-called comfortable life and into a more fulfilling and purpose-driven, aligned life. And what inspired me to make this video in the first place was that as I started taking these steps into living a more aligned life that felt more authentically me, that felt more aligned with my truth, I think people started recognizing this because it was showing in my content. It was showing in how I showed up in life. I think it was just showing in my overall happiness. And I started getting more questions. How did you do it? How did you find the courage to do it? How do you explain your decision to those around you? And quite honestly, it wasn't really something that I really thought about. It kind of was just a decision that I chose to make. But getting all of these questions from people made me realize, man, if this is just my friends and family and people that I meet on my travels asking me these questions, there must be hundreds, if not thousands, of women out there asking the exact same thing. So today I'm going to talk about exactly that, how I made the decision to completely start over in my 30s, because honestly speaking, it really comes down to two things. One is the one question that I asked myself that completely changed everything for me. And two is how I turned the pit feeling that I kept getting in my stomach into my inner guidance system that actually helped guide the way for me. I finally learned how to just have faith in my intuition. So if you find any similarities in my story, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and join this community, because I created this channel to speak to women exactly like you. My intention is that by the end of this video, you will find comfort in knowing that if this journey sounds anything like yours, you are not alone. If the current path that you're on just doesn't feel aligned, I hope that this video acts as a permission slip and offers you some guidance on how to move more in alignment towards a path that feels more authentically you. So to give you the story, I'm going to rewind back to when I was about 30, because truth be told, that was the time in my life where I finally thought that I had everything quote unquote figured out. I landed a job that was in alignment with what I went to school with. I had the salary, I had the benefits, I had great friends. I was living in a place that all my friends thought was really nice. I was living in a great place of the city. My life on paper looked really happy. In fact, I would get messages from my friends all the time telling me, "Oh my God, we're so happy for you. You must be so happy. Everything is falling into place." And in reality, this was a time in my life where everything felt like it was completely falling apart for me. Because the truth is, my life did not at all look the way that I thought that it would at that time in my life. In fact, I had a completely different vision for my life, but the truth is, I had fallen into the hamster wheel and I had allowed myself to go down the path that society tells us we should. That society convinces us, if you go down this path, you will be happy. And truth be told, I fell for it because I had all these other visions for my life, but I just didn't know how to go about them. So I thought it would be easier to just succumb to what society tells us to do. And it made me so miserable. It made me depressed. It gave me anxiety. It kept me up at night. I remember sleepless nights thinking to myself, like, this cannot be it. Surely there is more. I remember driving to work, to my job that I was so excited that I got, and I would just be gripping, like white knuckling the steering wheel. And I would just be saying to myself, like, this can't be it. This can't be it. Like, this ain't it, sis. I would honestly cry on my way to work sometimes. And I was too ashamed to admit that because honestly, I really thought that I was going in a good direction. Again, I had found the job that aligned with what I went to school for, which, spoiler alert, even if you go to school for something and you find a job in that, it does not mean that that's what you're meant to do. I learned that the hard way. I think deep down, part of it was that I was wanting to live a life that would make my parents feel proud and that would look good on the outside. You know, I was very much concerned about, I was very much focused on how my life looked externally and what people perceive, how people perceived me, as opposed to how I actually felt. That felt like it was more important at the time. But truth be told, I was so unhappy and all I wanted was to find a way to make income online so I could just travel. And I felt myself always getting pulled into doing the side hustles. I was constantly trying new side hustles. Like, oh my gosh, when I say I've done every single side hustle, I did the Amazon FBA, I tried starting an ads agency, I've done MLMs, I've done the affiliate marketing, like you name it, I've probably tried it. But the truth is, and this feels so good to admit, none of them worked for me. I quite literally failed at every single one. And that was a really hard thing for me to admit for a long time. What I've learned now in hindsight is that if something really feels off, like it feels bad in your gut, you dread doing it, and you started something just because someone else had success in it, it is likely not meant for you. And if it's not meant for you, you likely won't see success in it. But I didn't know that at the time. I was just desperately trying to make something work. I just always knew that I wanted more out of life. I just always knew that there was more to this life, but I had no time to actually allow myself to go inward and ask myself what it is that I actually wanted. I really didn't know much about manifesting at the time, and I didn't use journaling as an opportunity to go inward. I really would just journal about like what I did for the day and how I felt. I really was living very surface level at the time. However, I really think that it was that gut intuition feeling that really saved me and acted as my North Star and my guidance system, because it was that gut feeling that I could just never suppress and never get rid of that continued to guide me and keep pushing me. Because it was when I discovered spirituality that completely changed the game for me. I was listening to a podcast by some girl boss, and she recommended the book The Secret. And I'm sure many of you can relate to your spirituality journey starting with the book The Secret. But when I read it, it truly changed the game for me because it made me realize the relationship that we do have with the universe, with source. And I'm so grateful that I discovered it when I did, because right after I started getting into spirituality and manifestation, my world around me crumbled pretty much like clockwork. I lost my job. I left my place. I lost close relationships. Just everything around me felt like it completely crumbled. And at the time, it absolutely sucked. But at the same time, I remember just having this insane feeling of relief. And this is such a good lesson in life. When something is not meant for you, it will not serve you. It will not work out for you. It will find a way to stop serving you. But going back to that one question I said in the beginning that I really feel changed the game for me was when I kept asking myself, there must be more. Is this really it? Is this really it? And I see now how this was me sending out a signal to the universe saying, please God, show me the way. There must be more. I see now how I was surrendering. And I see now how the universe really answered my question and said, no, it's not it. Just wait. We have more. So I think allowing ourselves to surrender and stop white knuckling life so much and just surrender and allow yourself to just open up to the opportunity of something new and something different and something that truly serves you. Because amongst all of this, I finally had the quiet time to ask myself, what do I want? What do I want? Because for the longest time, I was just living in survival mode. I was going to school, I went and got the job, I just was constantly doing what I thought I needed to do. I never really asked myself, what do I want to do? And what is it that I want out of this life? The first step for reinventing myself and starting over was going inward, because that gut feeling that I was getting all along was truly my inner guidance system that I never gave any time or thought to. So I started taking meditating more seriously. I started journaling more intentionally, started spending more time in nature and outside and with my family, and just being more intentional about my time. And it wasn't doing so that I finally just got so clear on what it was that I wanted to do. At this time, I put my ego aside and I actually decided to move back in with my parents. And this was by no means ever what I thought that I would be doing at 30, but it actually felt so right. And surprisingly, my parents were actually really excited to have me home. The irony in this was that I thought that at the time I was going backwards. You know, I lost the job, I lost my friendships, I left my place, I moved back in with my parents. But the irony of it was that as I was doing things that were no longer aligning with the societal norms, it's like the happier I got. You know, society sees us moving in with our parents or living with our parents as a negative, when in reality, I was able to spend so much amazing time with my parents and connect with them again and rebuild that relationship. You know, I'd lived abroad for a few years. I left home when I was 18. I really wasn't home a lot, and rebuilding that relationship with them truly meant the world, and it was so special. No longer waking up and going to a job that made me absolutely miserable. And over time, I noticed that my nervous system finally started to re-regulate. I didn't have that anxiety when I was going to sleep anymore. I didn't wake up with actual depression. I was just getting rest that I so desperately needed. I didn't realize how burnt out I was from leading a lifestyle that was not at all my own. And the beautiful thing is that over time, as I was home longer, as I was more rested, and I was prioritizing more time for meditation and listening to my inner dialogue, I started getting more messages and intuition led ideas. And it became so clear to me that what I really wanted to do was have my own business and make money online and travel. That was it. In fact, it's funny because I think that that's a lot of our goals today. Now, skipping forward about a year, I actually discovered an online business that aligned with me at the time. Since then, I have grown out of it, but it actually worked for me. I started making money online, and it felt effortless. You know, all these side hustles I had done, they just never worked for me. I never made any money. But in this new one I found, because it was doing something that I actually loved doing, which was content creation, I made money within the first month. I made more money than I'd ever made online just by doing something that I actually loved doing. And this was an aha moment for me that, oh, when you do something that you naturally feel called to, that you've always naturally loved doing, it gets to feel easy and it gets to feel fun. And that was such a turning point for me, because I truthfully never really knew that you could make money doing what I was doing at the time. I didn't even really know about it, and I just kind of fell upon it. And this was such an aha moment for me, because I had found a way to make money online by fluke. It wasn't by force. And that was my real first taste of what it feels like to be your own boss and make your own money online. And this was when the momentum started to build for me. And fast forward to about a year ago, this was when I was getting really deep into my meditation and my journaling. And I had gotten essentially like a download that I needed to go to Costa Rica. And I had no idea where this came from. I knew that I wanted to do more long-term traveling. I knew that I wanted to go on a bigger trip, but truthfully, Costa Rica was not on my radar. But I just kept getting this message that I needed to go to Costa Rica. And funny enough, when I decided to go to Central America, I actually tried getting out of going to Costa Rica because in my mind, it wasn't really a place that I felt called to. I also had a limiting belief that it was going to be too expensive. But long story made short, I had actually met someone in Guatemala who then connected me with someone who was running a retreat in Costa Rica. And at the time, it was my all-time goal to do content creation for a retreat, a women's retreat specifically in Costa Rica. And I ended up linking up with someone and having the opportunity to do content creation in Costa Rica. So I had all my expenses covered for me, and this was truly a dream come true for me. And I remember being in Costa Rica, this was only last year, and I was just swimming around in the pool. All the girls had gone to yoga. And I was swimming around and I just thought to myself, like, this is how life, oh my God, I'm going to cry thinking about it. This is how life gets to feel when you let go and you surrender and you stop forcing and you stop living your life how you're told to live, and you allow yourself to just listen to your intuition and do what feels right, even if it's unconventional and it doesn't make sense to anyone around you. Because now I'm swimming in a pool in Costa Rica, living my best life, finding a way to make income as I travel. And I just knew that 2 years ago me, the 2 years ago version of me, never in a million years would have even been able to conjure up that thought, that belief that I could be there. And truthfully, it required me surrendering and just asking the universe and saying, like, show me more. There's got to be more. Please show me more. I am ready. And pairing that with just trusting and having faith, listening to my gut, listening to my intuition. I'm so grateful for all of the things that I've done in the past, most of them being all those side hustles and jobs that I pursued that I knew weren't for me. I knew what it felt like to have that pit feeling in my stomach when something wasn't right. And something tells me that you've had the exact same pit feeling when something just felt off. And I started allowing that to be my guidance system. When I would ask myself, do I want to do this? And I didn't get that gross pit feeling. In fact, I would get butterflies and I would feel light and excited. I would say, okay, that's clearly where I'm meant to go. And that's truthfully how I started living my life. Instead of forcing it and white knuckling it, doing what I think I'm supposed to do, I started moving in more alignment and what felt more like my truth and like my authentic reason for being here. And the cool thing about all of that was when I was in Costa Rica specifically, I went to other countries, but when I was in Costa Rica, the place that my gut told me to go to was when I had the most revolutionary spiritual breakthrough. That place cracked me right the F open. I had the most incredible breakthroughs about my entire purpose here. What am I meant to do? What am I supposed to help people with? I've always known that I came here with a much larger mission. But living in the confines of my little box in the life that just didn't serve me, I could never, ever, ever reach it. I could never figure it out. I could never find clarity on it. And it was in Costa Rica specifically where it finally became so clear. It was in the place that my intuition led me to that everything started to unfold. And I just remember sitting there and thinking to myself, like, it all makes sense now. Like, thank you. Thank you for guiding me here, because there is such potent energy in Costa Rica. If you've ever been, you know. You know what I'm talking about. And I just thought there was no irony. There was no mistake in the fact that this all came together in the place that I was guided to go to. And instead of questioning it and wondering, why do I need to go there? Why should I go there? I just surrendered. And even when I tried to fight back and not go, the universe said, nah, we're getting you there. Here's a friend who knows a friend who's gonna get you there. Like, there was no getting out of it. And I love sharing this story because that was the first time in my life that I truly just followed my intuition. and allowed it to guide me without asking questions. And what it's led to now is so much bigger than I ever could have conjured up for myself. So was starting over at 30 scary? Of course it was. It was terrifying. I had no idea what I was stepping into. I had no idea what I was walking into. I was terrified of leaving the comforts of my so-called comfortable life behind. But the reality is, when I really sat with it, I asked myself, can I see myself living like this even for the next 5 years? And the answer was no, absolutely not. So of course it was uncomfortable, but it was less uncomfortable than the realities of staying in that life for the next couple of years. Because I knew if I kept going that way, I would be on all the antidepressants, anti-anxiety drugs out there. So I had to ask myself, what discomfort am I willing to put myself through right now? The discomfort of stepping into the unknown, or the discomfort of living a life that wasn't meant for me? And the best part about all of this is that when you start to live a life that feels more authentically you, no matter how unconventional it looks, you don't feel the need to defend yourself or explain yourself to anyone. Your happiness and your light and your excitement, your newfound excitement for life, will truly start to speak for itself. People will start to notice. People will start to notice your peace. People will start to notice your energy. And they will start to ask you what it is you're doing. What have you been doing lately? How are you so happy? How are you so at peace? Why are you always so happy? Honestly, because I'm doing the shit that makes me happy. That's why. That's the magic. And my intention with sharing my story is not to tell you to go quit your job, leave your relationships behind, leave your place behind, move back in with your parents and go travel the world. I get that that's not everyone's journey. That's not everyone's story. But the truth is, there is a common denominator in all of our stories for all of us who are living an unaligned life that no longer serves us, where we have that pit feeling in our stomach that there must be more. And the common denominator is this: we know that we are meant for more. We can feel our truth calling us. We feel our higher self telling us and pushing us to something bigger, something greater, something that is so much more fulfilling. We know deep down we are not living the life that we are meant for. And this is the reason I started this YouTube channel. I had the calling to create this channel when I was in Costa Rica, like I spoke about. My entire intention with this channel is to help women step out of a life that is no longer serving them, that doesn't feel like them, and to step into something that feels more aligned, more fulfilling, more purpose-driven, a life that you get excited to wake up to every single day. And the crazy thing is, nothing massive has to change around you. There is just something so beautiful about waking up every single day knowing that you are working towards a life that is far more aligned to your truth. Because I promise you, if you are getting that gut feeling trying to guide you to something bigger and greater, if you trust yourself to follow it, the opportunities and the doors that can open up will blow your mind. And for each and every one of us who follows down a path that feels more aligned to us, the more light we spread, the more we inspire others to do that. And can you just imagine the kind of world that we would live in if more people were living in their light, if more people were living in their truth? Can you imagine? If you are feeling that calling, something bigger and greater and more aligned, consider this your permission slip. So with that, I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will see you in the next video.